All right, so short week, back to work. Ready to kind of get active versus a new opponent, tough opponent. Excited for the opportunity. Welcome to challenge, and our guys are back hard at work. So we often talk about competitive greatness in meetings, team meetings, offensive meetings, and competitive greatness is being at your best when your best is required. So I wanted to say how much I appreciate the response by the players, how much they battled. Talked about during the week before the game, no matter what happens, nobody flinched. Nobody flinched. They stayed aggressive, stayed in attack mode. I think it was 17 points in the fourth quarter, uh, 11 points under 2 minutes with no timeouts, which I'm not sure if you guys realize that or not. That's not normal. Doesn't happen all the time. I get we didn't win though. That's the whole point is to be able to have a shot to win games, put ourselves in the spot to go execute at a high level, and I'm more committed to presenting more opportunities for our guys, continue to find matchups, continue to be aggressive, and give them the shot to go win on game day. So, questions?
What do you like about talking about you're giving your guys more opportunities? More of those opportunities for DJ have come behind the line of scrimmage. What do you like about him in that situation as that quick outlet for Caleb?
Yeah, I think it's easy to get him involved in the game. I think regardless of what people kind of play coverage-wise, try to play against him to take away possible throws. If you hand it to him, give him a bubble behind the line of scrimmage, you got to tackle him in space. That guy's pretty dynamic when you get the ball in his hands. So with his screens, quick game throws, obviously vertical down the field throws, any way we can get our guys in space, I'm all about.
Caleb Williams commended your aura after the game. Is that something like you've always been that way, or have you kind of learned to develop that aura as you've gone along your career?
And I don't even know how to answer the oral question. I know it's a compliment, so Caleb, I appreciate it. I know my kids use it. My two older boys use it a lot. But I mean, I just believe in being authentic, being myself. Definitely, I think everything about personalities, myself, anybody else, is developed over time. I think being in specific roles, being in front of groups, you learn to find your voice. Learn to figure out what works for you. But also, it's ultimately about the audience, right? How do you bring the best out of the people you're communicating with and talking to? And I've mentioned this before, like being a husband of 16 years has forced communication. So between me and my wife Jessica, so I've grown with that because I was a huge introvert before growing up, so I didn't talk. Never really shy, I would just keep to myself. And then having three boys who are all different personalities made me a better coach. Because when I first got into coaching, I was probably 24 years old, and I was kind of a one size fits all. You're gonna get it how I give it to you, and if you don't like it, that's your problem. Which is the wrong approach. And so I realized having three boys, and my oldest son, Orlando, is probably the most like my personality, the good and the bad. My middle son is most like my wife's personality, and then my youngest son, Judah, is all over the place. So it's about understanding, again, still being my authentic self, but also when I deliver a message, I'm never going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you the truth, but how I deliver it is based on what brings the best out of you.
Thomas, on that subject, you have to parent each of your kids differently. You have to talk to each of them differently to get what you want.
Yeah.
What's been the process for you learning how to talk to Caleb, how to coach him in a way that is going to work for him?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a continuing work in progress. I think the first thing I did when I got the job I guess 2 Tuesdays ago, is I called him and we sat down and had a one-on-one conversation so I could tell him what to expect from me and also what I expected from him. And we had a mutual understanding from the get-go. Obviously, my approach, my demeanor is different than some people, but it's always meant to bring out the best in him. And so we had to operate both with a little bit of blind trust. Like I trust him, he trusts me, and then we figure out from there. But again, I think it's about being authentic, understanding what to say to him at the right time to either push his buttons or rein him back in sometimes. But also, I text him after the game because he's a highly competitive player. Football is a very emotional game, and I like it that way. But also, got to understand how to give yourself some grace, how to have some balance. And I think being hard on yourself is important to continue to have growth. But at the same time, we live in a world, man, he plays a spot where everybody's going to be hard on him. So you have to continue to punch yourself in the face. You have to give yourself some grace and move on to get better.
Does he respond better than to you just being more direct, or is there also some, I guess, cushion in what you're saying, some encouragement? How do you play it with him as far as how you communicate?
I'm a pretty direct person, so I think that can come off different ways to different people. But he's not soft, which I appreciate. Me and soft people sometimes don't always see eye to eye get along. But I think he likes being challenged, likes being coached. Definitely all about encouraging, uplifting our guys when it comes to doing things the right way. But I think it's about finding a balance. About we've made some great improvements, some great strides, but being good is not to be confused with being good enough. So I can be better, he can be better, the entire group can be better. So I think it's about finding that balance, and also what each individual player needs.
One of the things you emphasized last week was trying to get the group to be sort of aggressive and play without fear.
Mhm.
When you look at it through Caleb's lens last week and some of the throws he made into tight windows, how do you evaluate the way he played in that game?
Yeah, it was very obvious. He had no fear at all, which is, I think, the way we want to have him be able to play. I think about being aggressive and taking calculated risk. So aggressive is not being reckless. It's two different things. So not putting the ball in jeopardy. He's done a really good job taking care of the football. Obviously making some tight window throws, which is why you get drafted number one overall to make those big plays. And I think, again, when it comes to end of the game, end of the half, he's delivered in a big way, which I think sometimes goes unnoticed because of the result, which I get. But that's a rookie quarterback who, in my opinion, hasn't even scratched the surface of how good he can be. And it's my job, my focus to continue to try to find ways to make him the best he can be, hold him accountable, but also the entire group. So it's not just about him. It's not a one-man show. Myself as a coach or him as a quarterback. But it's about us all kind of working collectively together to get the best result on game day.
After the big fourth quarter, you had the sack and the delay game, kind of short-circuited the offense in overtime. How do you teach a team or players to finish? What's that? How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. That's a lengthy question 'cause I think it's kind of obviously different when it comes to every scenario. But I think it starts with me being able to put us in good spots to have good balance, to still be aggressive without, again, minimizing the risk, but also continue to do a really good job of keeping our foot on the grass. And I think being able, the gas, excuse me, but also being able to not force plays, take it one play at a time, and continue to be aggressive and have that balance.
Roma Dunze seems to have gotten more and more comfortable as the year has gone on.
You said Rome?
Rome,
Yeah.
What are you seeing in terms of him coming along his rookie season?
Rome's an absolute baller. It's been that way from day one. So I love his overall approach. I think he's an extremely mature player, especially for his age. He's kind of been a kind of a no-nonsense guy when it comes to what we ask him to do, whether it's be involved in the run game and blocking, be involved in pass protection, obviously being able to kind of be accountable when it comes to the game on the line. It's 2 games in a row with fourth down calls, and he's made plays. And again, it's been aggressive plays and never flinching with that mentality, but he does it every day in practice. Now, to me, it's a direct correlation between what you do throughout the week and what happens on game day. So the more I develop good habits, you get a good result. I develop bad habits, you have a bad result. I don't care what it is. We're talking about working in whatever field. I'm not going to name a field, but I know people got sensitive last time when I mentioned finance, so I'm going to stay away from fields. It wasn't personal. But whatever you do in life, I think about being consistent, developing good habits so you can have a good product.
When you eye up this Detroit defense, Kirby Joseph specifically, what do you see in him in terms of his ability to impact the game?
Yeah, I mean, these guys are tough. They're violent. He, in some ways, is like a field general, plays different spots. They are in-your-face bunch of group. They kind of challenge you. They make it difficult because they are one of those teams that are, they will present non-normal matches. So normally you get 2-11 personnel, you get nickel or maybe Bronco personnel. So you're keeping still 5 DBs on the grass. They'll play in base, which makes it harder to defend to run the ball against. So trying to find a balance of how you call the game while still being able to not let the defense dictate what you do. Really for 2 weeks in a row versus 2 different opponents with different styles. But it's about being able to pick and choose our spots. But these guys are tough. But I'm excited about the opportunity. Our guys are ready for the opportunity as well, and so we'll keep battling and go swing our sword on game day.
Thomas Keenan's numbers from the slot this past week were his best of the season. I know injury might have precluded some of those numbers kind of going down this year, but what do you like about the production you're getting from him there? I guess 2 parts, and then you're utilizing him other places. I know obviously you didn't have him all these other years, but
Yeah.
What about the matchups do you think he's manipulating the best at this point in his career?
So it's funny, before I was presented with the opportunity to be the coordinator, during the week I would play scout team nickel, which plays in the slot. And I think I'm a pretty athletic dude. I'm still kind of cocky in some ways. And obviously I can't guard him, even though I've told him that to his face I can. But I think watching the guy, the one-on-one matchups, how he moves, the nuance of route running is obviously elite. It's been elite for a long time. But also being able to understand how we can move guys around, right? Use formation variations, using motions to do a couple things, right? To marry things for us offensively, to give us access, and also to give us coverage indicators. So using the illusion of complexity, formation variation, motion shifts, to force communication